The Equalizer 2 stars Denzel Washington, Melissa Leo, and Ashton Sanders, and is directed by Antoine Fuqua. Robert McCall is back as an Uber driver, and not the hardware salesperson that he was from the first film. He's still, however, the Good Samaritan who deals his own special brand of justice for those in need. But when that help is required by an old friend of his, how far will he go to protect them and set things right? Now, this movie serves as a follow-up to the 2014 film, which was also a reboot of the 80s TV series. And Antoine and Denzel, I guess, have been a really good team in the past and have actually delivered one of my favorite Denzel movies of all time, which was Training Day, a very, very, very cool film from 2001 if you haven't seen that already. As well as that, they've also done the reboot of The Magnificent Seven, and now they've got two Equalizer movies under their belt. The Equalizer 2 focuses on doing what I think any competent sequel should do, and that is give us something fresh while still feeling somewhat familiar to the first film. And I think it does a reasonably okay job at that. What it does is it ticks the boxes of what made the first film work. The first is being Denzel's commanding performance as Robert McCall, who is a badass, sure, but he's not the badass with a lot of one-liners. He's the badass with a little bit of substance. He's slightly OCD, he's good-hearted, he's quite reserved and very quiet. That is until he has to start beating people up, of course. Exciting action sequences as well, and quite a character moments that really work well within that first film, like scenes with Chloe Moretz in the first movie that were really, really cool. And so what Equalizer 2 does is take those elements and expands on them, but with that it also expands on a few things that I don't think quite worked in the first movie and are unfortunately also present in this movie as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Firstly, guys, the action in this film is absolutely terrific. In fact, Fuqua is not in autopilot here. He's absolutely bringing a lot of creativity and new inventive ways of staging some of these action sequences. We do get a lot of hand-to-hand fights. We do get a lot of gun fights as well in this movie. And what could have ended up being a little bit of a snooze fest out of a film that's almost breaking the 2-hour mark with so much action in it, it's never dull and it's never boring. Particularly with a lot of the fight sequences, they're very, very well choreographed and they're also wonderfully shot as well. There's a lot of energy to the camera work this time around, and the camera work actually complements a lot of the choreography, moving and ducking and weaving around the characters as they're fighting. A sequence with Denzel's character Robert driving a car and also a henchman in the back seat will, I think, go down being as one of the best action sequences of 2018. It's wonderfully shot and wonderfully edited. Another would be Melissa Leo, who gets in on the action this time around as well. She gets a fight sequence, and I gotta tell you, I was on the edge of my seat. It was probably one of my favorite sequences of this movie because it does create a lot of tension within the film. What we don't always see in sequels is the attention given to characterization, but Equalizer 2 is surprisingly quite character driven. Robert this time around is helping a young man, Miles, and also an old man, Sam. I think Miles has the more interesting character arc in this storyline, and his scenes with Robert do provide a lot of heart, a lot of humor, and also a lot of tension as well when Miles finds himself in trouble. There's a lot of great scenes there. Old Man Sam's storyline doesn't really make the impact that it should, as it's only condensed to a couple of scenes, and I actually think for a movie that has already got a pretty busy screenplay and is also suffering from some slight pacing issues, Old Man Sam's storyline I think could have been done away with and saved for a future entry in the series where the storyline could have got the proper treatment that it actually deserves. The Equalizer 2 does a really great job at expanding on the character of Robert and also providing some great scenes that really humanize him. Oliver Wood's dark but crisp cinematography this time around really stands out in the moments when Robert is just alone on screen stewing in his own emotions, or even when he's sharing a scene with somebody else. We learn more about Robert's past in this movie, which is great, but what I absolutely loved is there's still a lot of mystery to this character by the film's closing. So it's here Robert is handled very, very well. Where Robert isn't quite handled as well this time around, and this was also a problem in the first movie as well, is his vulnerability factor within the action sequences. And we get a lot of great emotional moments in this movie. Denzel's great performance, Fuqua's excellent direction in the character's quieter moments are really, really well handled where it humanizes him. Unfortunately, the action sequences dehumanize him. And what happens here is Fuqua really puts Robert in these situations where he drops bad guys left and right with basically a lot of ease as well. I like to call it God mode, basically, where Robert goes into God mode, takes the bad guys out easily, walks away from a fight without a scratch. And look, it's really cool to watch. It's great eye candy because the action sequences are very, very well shot. Unfortunately, it dehumanizes him because Robert's not really tested in any way. He's not tested intellectually. He's not really tested physically either. And what this film is missing is a very compelling villain for Robert to overcome. Robert's just always on top of it all, and without that vulnerability factor carried into the action sequences here, there is a little bit of tension missing from The Equalizer 2. For Denzel's first sequel ever, I tell you, he could have done a lot worse. The Equalizer 2 is an entertaining ride. It does tick a lot of the boxes that made the first film work, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they take the character next. Hopefully they take Robert into some more challenging situations.
You carrying all those books around? I figured you for some kind of teacher.
I'm a high-level paid government assassin.
So guys, what did you think of The Equalizer 2? Let me know in the comments below what you thought. And of course, if you dug this review, don't forget to flick a like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that little notification bell so you never miss a video update. And until next time, guys, don't forget, a weekend watching movies is a weekend well spent. Thanks heaps for watching.